Welcome back and thank you for staying with us on Daybreak Extra. Let's start this segment by taking a look at the Weekend Trust this Saturday. Major story is about governors' overbearing influence on Nigeria. Now, the writers are talking about they are alphas and omegas in their states. That's the ex-Adamawa state governor saying this. This is quote unquote what he said. One thing I always love about the Weekend Trust is how rich it tends to be and would leave you all through the weekend packed with enough information that you need. Another writer is saying we are not as powerful as you think. Now this is the current governor of Bala Muhammad. So this is a direct counter to what the former governor of Adamawa State is saying. How citizens can hold leaders to account, and these are of course lawyers giving details on the power that is being perceived from governors. Now all of these stories of course you can find on the Weekend Trust. It's about deep thoughts and you know, multiple pages of the details of this conversation and interviews with these people, and I know the reason you know, that led to this was the local government autonomy battle. You know, it's like stakeholders, citizens were pushing, saying they cannot feel the presence of the government, and hence the reason why they called out the federal government to at least give the local government some autonomy, because masses, you know, communities, villagers cannot match up to the governor's office, but at least they can be able to reach their local councillor, their chairman, close to them, right in their own community, and that would at least bring the government to the grassroots. So people pushed for that to happen, but at the end of the day, it just turned out, you know, like we got to the finish line, but then nothing has really started. And there's been a lot of slag. Some governors are still pushing against it. They still want to have some level of financial leverage and hold on the local government autonomy. And it is just causing a lot of delay and chaos. A lot of you know, experts on this field are worried about the execution of this, and it seems to be really slagging behind. So hence the reason why people are now exhausted with how much power, you know, the governors are holding. And it's so unfortunate that you know, that there's a hold that there's an angle that the president cannot even reach, and that is you know, telling the governors what to do. So it really breaks my heart that this is happening in our country. But for us to understand what is most important, what is happening in that aspect, then you need to grab the Weekend Trust this Saturday. Now below that, we saw of course a sketch just of the executive governor and just showing a level of strength and power. Fishing for survival, the story of the so-called fisher women. Now this is one story I know I would want to read. You find that on page 35. Tinubu honors Lagbaja with CFR as late Chief of Army Staff is buried. It's been a really sad weeks for us here in Nigeria, mourning the former Chief of Army Staff who died after brief illness, and he was buried, of course, in the nation's capital. May his soul rest in peace. Now, below the headlines there, we see Supreme Court dismisses state governor's suit against the EFCC. You find that on page 38. This has been another drama ongoing where state governors are coming out to say that there should be a disbandment of the EFCC. And now the Supreme Court are saying, you know what, just go away with that suit. I don't think there is any place that has called for a disbandment of the an anti-graft agency for a country, especially a country like Nigeria, that is known globally, really shamefully, of corruption. You know, the bribery and corruption has taken its highest hit in the country. I don't think, you know, we should have leaders calling out, you know, the anti-graft, saying, oh, we should even disband that, something that is supposed to at least put a fear on people to behave. They are in existence. EFCC is there, but then we still have a major corruption rate. Then imagine if that organization is disbanded, or the agency. So this is the Supreme Court judgment, and I think majority of Nigerians would appreciate that more. Meanwhile, state governors still have a lot of people looking at them saying, you people have so much power that is looking overbearing, and with everything going on, of course, state governors still, there are a lot of states that have still not implemented the new minimum wage. So EFCC at this point should not be their problem or their priority. Now, away from that, Ondo, over 1.7 million voters choose new governor today. We'll just have to wait and see that, and we'll keep you up to speed on that development. And the NJC suspends about 2 judges, retires 2 others over misconduct and age falsification. I mean, if there is anybody that should be holier than thou, it should be, the people in the judicial system. And if at all, these people hold people accountable for, every wrongdoing, then they should also pay for it. Age falsification is something that is horrendous. It's a huge crime. And now finding out that, some judges also had that. They had to be forced to retire, and the other judges had, corruption charges against them or misconduct, because people, that was during, election tribunals and all of that. And it breaks the heart of Nigerians that the judicial system got to that, where I go out and mass vote, and then that right is stripped off me because someone got paid to change, the course of things. So definitely kudos to Justice Kekere, Chief Justice. She's doing great.
Obviously, when you see her, she's going to do
a
lot. When women are given the power,
Mm-hmm.
There's always that belief that they are going to be strict or they are going to be too
because
hard.
we all know how mothers can be.
If they are doing the right thing, then we have to commend them for doing the right thing. But it's just that something caught my attention, saying that she, one of the judges that was retired should refund 12 years salary, and I'm wondering how the person will be able to refund 12 years salary. That would be too much, But then you'll definitely bump into it much later.
Yeah, but honestly, I think that in this part of the world, especially Africa, we tend to allow sentiments get to us. But if at all, judgments like this are made and say, yes, return the 12 months, you have to go extreme and do that.
If you've been actually getting that based on forged or certificates and stuff, definitely you'll be asked to return
that
everything.
Means you're not even worthy of
you're not worthy of it in the first place, So definitely I understand that
and
aspect.
It would at least make people behave. This is the punishment, and no matter what you get it.
So a lot of people will be scared and be careful what they put out there, So I mean, it's nice to see that this is actually happening. First of its kind in Nigeria. So
honestly, we have to give her flowers. Kudos to her, and
definitely
we hope that she gets the strength and more zeal and enthusiasm to continue in that pursuit. All right, basically, these are the stories in the front pages of the Weekend Trust. You can get more on the Weekend Trust this Saturday.
Well, let's quickly take a look at Punch, Saturday Punch this morning. And the major story there says, Ondo poll, APC, PDP, set for battle as 1.7 million voters elect next governor. That's what I just said earlier. It's a lot to see that they are actually coming out to vote, and part of this is like almost 700,000 out of this is youths actually, and as, definitely when elections are about to cast voters are about to cast their votes, you see the turnout is mostly women and youth.
Yeah, those are the people basically that vote.
Exactly.
Women and youth.
Yes,
because those are people that have a lot to lose. The future is all about the youth. The future is about mothers protecting their kids, their kids getting better, outcome and all of that. And one of the major concerns I wanted to point out earlier, I skipped my mind, is how bad our education system is.
I saw you do a video on
Yes.
that, which I've been longing to do, because you know there's a lot to talk about when it comes to the education system.
Yesterday,
we can't even dissect
yesterday,
it.
Fatima, I was talking to a head teacher, and she said in just this period that a lot of kids, that her class are empty. A lot of kids have dropped out of school because of how expensive, and this is a public school, because of how, you know, cost of living
I thought there were schools, the government schools, that you don't have to pay school fees.
There are a lot of schools that you have to pay some peanuts.
Yeah.
But even the peanuts is
becoming
much.
Yes,
it's becoming
for people
a life hustle. You know, for people barely survive. We already know how the cost of living has.
What do you expect from people that can barely eat a square meal? Not to talk of 2 square meals or 3 in a day, to afford to pay school fees for their kids. And that's why you see now the street, when you look at the street, you see a lot of people now pushing their children out to go and hog.
This is what she
is exactly what I'm talking about.
These kids are roaming about, because where the school is located, a lot of the residents there were sending their kids to that school. So now she passes around when she's going to the school. The classes are empty, and then these kids are roaming the streets. And we all know how you can pick up bad characters, you know, and bad habits
from that. Anything can happen, you know. Accidents can happen. They can get kidnapped. Anything can happen, you know. A lot happens on the street that we don't know, but we just
so this
hope
is the reason why the youth definitely need to go out and exercise their franchise and vote for their right leader, someone that would have Nigeria at heart and the people at heart.
You've said it all, you know, because we are actually always voting for the right leaders, and we are expecting them to deliver when we put them in that office.
Indeed.
For the sake of the masses.
Indeed.
So go through page 4 for more details on that. And then the writer says Ondo South is battleground for candidates, which I totally agree on that when it comes to elections. So why I attempted suicide in church, this is coming from a spinal cord patient. I think I saw a video when they were trying to stop him. He was trying to like set himself on fire.
My
or something
heart
like
breaks
that.
for him.
You know, yeah. So it's sad. Only God knows what he may be going through that would have wanted him to, you know, push him into
talking about the spinal cord is the most, like, it is said that you have to,
that's what
you
carries,
have to empathize with someone that used to have something, and then all of a sudden that's been taken.
And you know, the spinal cord is what holds.
Exactly. You
know, it's connected to your brain, everything. So definitely.
My heart breaks for him, you know, and I hope he finds the strength.
Suicide is not the answer at the end of
never
the day,
the answer.
You know, so just maybe he needs to go for therapy and he'll be fine at the end of the day. So go through page 25 for more details. Digital hustle. Desperate Nigerian girl turned to sell nudes for cash. I don't think that's desperate.
Indeed.
That's not enough reason
to be desperate.
That.
Indeed.
You know, so you're desperate, go look for something else to do.
You're
held and hearty.
Yeah.
You have your legs, your hands. You don't need this, you know. So it's a matter of choice at the end of the day.
It's a lazy decision.
Definitely. Go through page 20 and 21 for more details if you want to go through that. Lagos hospital killed my wife by removing her fibroid womb without consent. Now this is coming from a husband. Definitely, I can imagine how, you know, the grief that he's nurturing right now in his heart for finding out that this was what happened to his wife. Imagine operating on a different issue and then something now happens and the person has lost their lives now due to this.
It really breaks my heart. Health sector, we
have quack doctors that don't deserve license. They just go to places where they know that things can easily get printed for them, and then they just kind of, you know, maybe copy someone else's license and just put their faces or
honestly,
you know, have access to certain things, because that's exactly what's happening.
This is how you will know our system is breaking. I don't know. We're just losing it at every level, because I know every sector, every the thing tend to have groups and agencies or regulatory board overseeing these things. And you're telling me just the situation of you know, that Mr. Kikerino, that it turned out that happened in Jos, Plateau State, that it turned out that he was never a doctor in the first place. And hospital, Fatima, is not something hidden. This is not someone hiding somewhere and printing out something and selling. People go to this hospital. It's been there for ages. And you're telling me that no medical, no health regulatory body decide to go check and verify.
Just like I remember when El-Rufai was, when he was still the governor in Kaduna, and he decided to run exams for teachers and then dropped a lot of them, and people kept saying, no, the people have lost their jobs. But at the end of the day, why are there teachers that cannot even read or write and correct spellings?
And
then you don't need them in schools.
And you want the governor to still pay them.
And you want to have young people that you're bringing up to become leaders.
Does that even make sense? This is what I'm saying. I said, this part of the world, Africa, we are known with unnecessary sentiment. Someone does something horrible, and you empathize with him, saying, no, just make his life a bit easier. What are you talking about?
Understand? So, and you see, that's why we still have the brain drain when you see doctors that know what they're doing, that know they have the qualifications, and they're not being given that access to do the necessary, because the equipments are not there, the facilities are not there for them to carry out the necessary operations, and do the necessary thing that they need to do as doctors. And they tend to travel out of the country. And then we are ending up with quack doctors that want to show that they are actually doctors, and they are not. You just
because they know they can give
yourself that title
outside the country. So. And our health sector. Imagine what happened just last week in the University Teaching Hospital in Ibadan, where the videos of nurses using torchlight to operate, to hospital
give birth and stuff like that.
It just breaks my heart, honestly. A lot.
Well, I'm sure he can sue the hospital for this, because without consent, no signatures on any of the forms to say, okay, we're taking, because no matter how little,
at least get
no matter how little the operation they're taking someone in, a family member has to sign. So you can go through page 24 for more details on that. Oshun robbery suspects steals policeman's phone in patrol van. I'm wondering how. This is crazy, because I remember a while back when in a police station someone stole. I don't know if it is the DPO's phone. I mean, it was all over social media at that time. And it was crazy. Imagine you were being arrested for stealing, and then you decided to still steal in the police station and the DPO's phone, for that matter. So this is another story, something similar like that. But you can go through page 12 for more details, and then below, above, we see the sad story of Lagbaja being buried, and then Tinubu giving him the national honor that he deserves. Go through page 27 for more details. 22 billion liters of petrol imported in 1 month. Now, this is coming as reports. Well, I would love to read this, and I'm sure Nigerians want to know how this happened in just a month. We'll go through page 4 and 8 for more details. How acting witchcraft role made me seek therapy. Now, this is coming from Etinosa. I mean, you're not the only one that has gone through this. A lot of people have gone through this even before now. I remember the lady that acted Karashika. Up until now, we've not seen her on any movie set, because she came out to say that she was being haunted by acting that particular role. Now, I'm taking it back to more than a decade ago. More than 10 years ago, because it was almost 20 years. That particular movie.
It's almost 30. It's definitely.
And imagine not seeing that particular lady that acted up until now on any movie set.
Yeah, and then there was
she's outside the country. Yes, and then after the school hour.
Yes, it was
there's blood money
as well.
There are a lot of movies, even though we saw the actors and actresses of those movies, some of them still acted until they died.
Yeah,
but a lot of them just you don't see them. And this lady, I remember a couple of years ago when I was like, let me check out on this girl. Where is she? Karashika. Like, I remember what she did to us in that movie. A lot of haunting and people being scared, and also a lot of people actually go through that. But that's it for the Punch this morning.
All right. Quickly, let's take a look at the Guardian. Top of the page there, it says, tackling systematic failures that keep transport sector in limbo. Beside that story, it's returned artifacts still homeless, tax before Okpebolo. Now, talking about what is happening in Edo State. I don't know the main details of this. I don't know if these artifacts were returned from outside the country, because I know there was a time I had a story about Nigerians art or African art being found outside the country, and then these people are returning it back to the government. But then this would mean Edo State governor have to perhaps create a museum to kind of save and preserve this, because we all need it. These are culture, these are history that should be maintained. A major story here is talking about all eyes on INEC security agencies as Ondo goes to poll. Tinubu, Shetima, others pay last respect to the late Chief of Army Staff, Lagbaja. Livestock Watch, Tinubu, Ganduje, and power of intellectuals in governance. Now, these are the stories that you'd find, and even more, on the Guardian weekend this Saturday. Now, due to time, of course, constraint, these are the much newspapers that we can take and analyze. You can definitely, hopefully, grab as much as you can get your hands on, talking about our dailies, and go through them, because it's always important to equip yourself with what is happening in your country and even outside the country, because politically there are a lot of things that happens outside the country that affects your own country. Now, with that, we'll take a break, and when we come back, it will be time for us to open the phone line to hear from you. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.